for this beautiful occasion, always a heart-warming occasion, the communion service, and it's always done beautifully by Debra. So I'm going to introduce her, and I remembered to stay here. That's a joke. Okay. Reverend Debra has lived in San Diego for over 40 years and has studied healing for over 35 years. Her initial training at the First Spiritualist Church in San Diego included classes in spiritual healing, universal law, and mediumship. Debra was ordained at the First Spiritualist Church in October of 1992, served in many appointments as well as pastor. She has a long history with Harmony Grove, reading at psychic fairs, and teaching at the Institute classes. Reverend Debra has taught many spiritual subjects in psychic development, including the universal laws, and angel kingdom, tarot, chakra, and aura, and is a Reiki master. She is currently the pastor of First Christian Spiritualist Church in National City, lecturing monthly and offering healing and meditation classes. Her motto is that we are co-creators with spirit to express love and joy, and the message of our soul to say yes to God. So I'd like you to give a warm applause and say yes to her beautiful lecture, but also that we're so really lucky to have her as pastor here. So I welcome our pastor, Reverend Debra.
It's truly a blessing to be here because this helps us keep in that spiritual consciousness, frame of mind. Whenever you look at a baby, you see that love, that freshness, that just such beautiful happiness and joy just flowing from them. Babies are so precious, and what Jesus came and represented to so many is so important. Such a blessing. And it's interesting, I love to reflect on the Christmas bells and the church bells. I love the church bells. And I was made aware recently that they were all about healing. The towns would have the bells, not just for warning people if something was gonna happen, come in, the weather, there's an emergency or something that they use them for, as well as for services in times of day. But they were also at a certain megahertz level that promoted healing through your body. And for some reason, since 1939, I think it was, they changed that tone, that vibration. And people have started coming down, being more ill with different things. So that's why the bowls are so important to realign us back into the body healing itself. And it was very shocking to me that this would be allowed to occur when you look at the reasoning of what the bells truly meant to us as healing. So I'd ask you to listen to the bowls, because it is the energy and the sounds that Voyager took when it was out traveling in space. Sounds just like our crystal bowls, or metal bowls, or the gongs, or the tuning forks. Pay attention to what energy and what sound is around you, Casey even taught us. Sound is the next level of true healing. For my Christmas lecture of the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus the Christ, we have the Holy Story. The time was nearly due for Jesus to be born, and Mary longed to see Elizabeth, and she and Joseph turned their faces toward the Judean hills. And when upon their way they came to Bethlehem, the day was done, and they must tarry for the night. But Bethlehem was thronged with people going to Jerusalem. The inns and homes were filled with guests, and Joseph and his wife could find no place to rest, but in a cave where animals were kept, and there they slept. Bethleham's a tiny, tiny little town, and I think there's only one inn, and it has been researched, and they did have family there, but the guest houses were already taken. So, and they were helped. They were protected. At midnight came a cry, "A child is born in yonder cave among the beasts, and lo, the promised Son of Man was born." And strangers took the little one and wrapped him in the dainty robes that Mary had prepared, and held and laid him in a trough from which the beasts of burdens fed. And 3 persons clad in snow white robes came in and stood before the child and said, "All strength, all wisdom, and all love be yours, Emmanuel." Now on the hills of Bethlehem were many flocks of sheep, with shepherds guarding them. The shepherds were devout, were men of prayer, and they were waiting for a strong deliverer to come. And when the child of promise came, a man of snow white robe appeared to them, and they fell back in fear. The man stood forth and said, "Fear not, behold, I bring you joyful news. At midnight in a cave on Bethlehem was born the prophet and the king that you have been waiting for." And then the shepherds all were glad, and they felt that all the hills were filled with messengers of light, who said, "All glory be to God on high. Peace, peace on earth, goodwill to men." And then the shepherds came with haste to Bethlehem and to the cave, that they might see and honor him whom men had called Emmanuel. Now in the morning came a shepherdess whose home was near, prepared a room for Mary, Joseph, and the child. And there they tarried for many days. And Joseph sent a messenger in haste to Zacharias and Elizabeth to say, "The child is born in Bethlehem." Elizabeth was Mary's sister, and they had met up and talked during their pregnancies as Elizabeth brought forth John, the harbinger. Right? And Joseph sent a messenger in haste to Zacharias and Elizabeth to say, "The child is born in Bethlehem." And Zacharias and Elizabeth took John and came to Bethlehem with words of cheer. And Mary and Elizabeth reunited all the wondrous things that had transpired. The people joined with them in praising God. According to the custom of the Jews, the child was circumcised, and when they asked, "What will you call the child?" the mother said, "His name is Jesus, the man of God, whom the man of God had declared." May the beauty and wonder of this season fill you with joy. I wish you to think about the part of your life that truly brings meaning and joy to you. This is where your heart finds comfort, peace, and joy. This is where you are. This is where your consciousness lives. This is your sacred Bethlehem. In the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary by Charles Fillmore of the Unity Church, Bethlehem is defined as a house of bread, a place of food, a house of sustenance, a house of living, a town of Zebulun, a city of Judah, the birthplace of David and of Jesus. It lists scriptures, but I'll go through them. And in Genesis, it is called Ephrath, and in Ruth 4:11, Ephrathah. Metaphysically, Bethlehem means a house of bread, symbolizing the abiding place of sustenance. It indicates the nerve center at the pit of the stomach, through which universal sustenance joins the refined or spiritualized chemical products of the body's sustenance. And this is our solar plexus chakra. Through this center are gradually generated the elements that go to make up the electrical body of the Christ man. And Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea. Judea means praise or spiritual recognition. The tribe of Judah symbolizes the aggregation of thoughts that has acknowledgement of spiritual things as the one and only thought reality. Thus, the one and only thought reality, thus the substance of which the Jesus man is born in us, must be spiritual in character. Okay. At Bethlehem, the substance center in man, a union of love and wisdom takes place. Love and wisdom takes place, and the Christ is brought forth in substance. In Ruth 1, verse 22, the beginning of barley harvest symbolizes a renewal or a reunion of the soul and body with true substance. The love of the soul in man, Ruth, must be stabilized in the substance of spirit before it can become productive of eternal satisfaction. So it's talked also about balancing the mind and heart and emotional parts and the cohesion of personal will with spiritual will and divine will. How are we nurturing our spirit? How are we nourishing our spirit? Are we truly living and experiencing life's offerings? Or are we trying to get by, going through the motions? Are we willing to put our faith out there? Not just sensing, but knowing that God will sustain us through wherever our paths lead, as Jesus showed us. Let us remember that we use the powers and love He gives each of us as we choose. Always our choice. We have free will. I wish to read from Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes. Of communion. His delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night, from Psalms 1, verse 2. There's always a silent communion going on between the individual and the invisible presence. The communion should be a conscious union of the self with the over-self, of the mind with the spirit, of the personal with the impersonal. As the artist communes with the essence of beauty and gives birth to the form through his communion, so our minds should commune with the presence of God. This communion should arise from an awareness of the divine presence. Today I commune with the Spirit. In nature I see the Spirit manifest. And in everyone I meet, I shall commune with the living Christ, the divine presence in him. Sensing its perfection, realizing its beauty, and being consciously aware of its love. Today, I hold silent communion with that invisible presence that peoples the world with manifestation in its life, its light, and its love. The greater the consciousness of God, the more complete must be the realization of the true self, the divine reality. I will close with this poem called The Peace of Bethlehem by Arthur Kennedy Roswell. Let us remember all those dear ones far away from home and sending them love. The Peace of Bethlehem. The magic spell of Christmas time enshrines our hearts again, and folks are praying everywhere for peace on earth toward men. For peace on earth toward men, yet fretfully we live each day, all hungering to know the peace that came from Bethlehem 2,000 years ago. Glad tidings came for all mankind, from all the manger birth, as herald angels sang the song of peace, goodwill on earth. Yet constantly we seek to find a cure for this world's woe. The answer came from Bethlehem 2,000 years ago. The weary Mary trod her way across Judean hills, her unborn child a promise sure for all this sad world's ills. One wish we hold this Christmas time, that you and all may know the peace that came from Bethlehem 2,000 years ago. May our holidays and lives be filled with the Christ child spirit. God bless you. And now,